30% of its full capacity when you get it to, when you really push it. It's at this point where your lungs actually compress your heart. And your heart is a literal heart massage. You can do this several times in a row, and you can actually give your heart a massage. It's very healthy for your heart, especially if you have heart problems. So doing this technique several times in a row, it comes to the point where you can actually feel your heart beating. And it's a really good way to start sensing your internal organs. Like I mentioned in the first talk, second talk, sensing the internal organs can have great benefits to it. As you begin to sense your lungs and your liver and your stomach and your intestines, the intestines are probably the most dull of them all. It's the hardest organ to really actually feel its functioning. Your lungs and your heart are pretty easy, especially if you start off with a heart massage. The liver, for me, the liver was, I think it was like one of the first things I began to feel. So for me, the liver was pretty easy to begin to sense. I still have a really hard time sensing my intestines. But you'll notice that just as every smell, has its own smell, and every color has its own color, and every taste and touch has your fingers feel different than your toes do. Your internal organs also have different, sensations to them. And when you get in tune with your internal organs, you can really get a sense of how your body is literally functioning. And when you begin to feel your internal organs, like I mentioned in the third one, or the second talk, you can notice if something's wrong with one of your organs, or if there's, if you have a toxin in you or something like that. You can literally detect diseases or problems far, marginally significant before any doctor would be able to tell you that there's something wrong with you, which gives you quite an upper hand on controlling the disease and suppressing it before it even becomes a problem. Okay, so now I wanted to talk about autosuggestions. Autosuggestions, okay, so an autosuggestion, I kind of went over this in one of the other talks too, but this is probably one of the most important things in meditation and in changing your life. So the basics I wanted to go over, or not the basics, I wanted to go kind of in depth with autosuggestions, is first of all how they work. I went over this, but not to, I kind of did go over this on a deeper level, but so you tell yourself something. What a suggestion is when you're telling somebody that they're awesome and hey, great job, you're doing a great job at work, they excel, okay? When you tell somebody that they're a slob and they're dressed horribly and they're ugly or whatever, they begin to go down the hill. And that's a suggestion. That's a suggestion that's fed into the mind. An interesting study that was done that I'm sure a lot of people have heard about is where they took several special ed students and they took a class of advanced students that were in advanced placement, and they switched them, okay? And they took all the special ed students and put them in the advanced placement class, and they took all the advanced placement students and put them in the special ed class. What happened? It's obvious, okay? The special ed kids all of a sudden began to get straight A's in an advanced placement class setting, where the special ed kids, the advanced placement kids in the special ed class all of a sudden started flunking out of school. It's very powerful. Suggestion is probably one of the most powerful tools we have for achievement and for destroying people. It's like one of the most powerful things that you can utilize to change life. So what an auto-suggestion is where you tell yourself what you want to believe about yourself and where you build yourself up. It doesn't work if you strut around in front of the mirror and say, oh, I'm the hottest guy in the world and all the chicks want me and I'm so freaking smart. It's not a prideful, haughty thing. It's a very level thing. It only works when you're being honest with yourself and when you're really trying to achieve. So with an autosuggestions are everywhere. Even in the news, when you think of yourself as an American and you see on the news what America is doing to other countries, that is a suggestion that you are taking into your own mind. You begin to equate yourself with America, the almighty country that invades all the other countries, and it actually has an effect on who you are. Colors, all sorts of things are suggestions. So you have to be careful with what suggestions you allow into your mind. Once you understand the power that suggestion have, you can actually begin to consciously filter the suggestions as they come in and counter the suggestions. So what an auto-suggestion is a suggestion that you tell yourself. Now, as I explained in a couple of the talks, the conscious mind is like a massive ocean with waves that are constantly crashing. And the point to meditation is to dim the waves down to a point to where your ocean is, completely rippleless. It doesn't have a ripple in it. And you can actually peer down into your subconscious. At that point, when you get to that point and you have a queue of commands that you want to feed your subconscious, that's the point where you want to feed your subconscious those commands, because there are no more thoughts disturbing your conscious mind. There are no more just random thoughts and ideas, going all over the place. So it's at the point to where you have your conscious mind calmed down to a point, to the level where it's totally flat, nice and still, is where the auto-suggestions are most powerful, because it's like if you have a picture of your auto-suggestion and you hold it down to show your subconscious mind, and there's waves all over the place, there's no way your subconscious mind is going to, it's just going to end up in the jumble of all your other waves. The reason why it's most powerful when you're in a meditative state is because you're completely clear. So you hold that picture of your suggestion down to your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind receives it without a problem. So that's why auto-suggestions are so important to do when you're in meditation. You can do them in the morning or whatever, like, I'm going to have a great day today, or, everybody likes me, kind of, whatever you want to do, right? So you kind of have your own little set of personal auto-suggestions. A lot of times are things you want to work on, like if you have a problem, getting up on time, or if you have a problem being on time in meetings, or whatever, you just tell yourself, I'm doing great, I'm more and more on time at meetings. You don't want to tell yourself, I'm on time to all my meetings all the time, because that's a lie. Your subconscious knows it. So you want to tell yourself gradual ideas, and as you begin to achieve them, you move on to the next level. So today, I'm doing better and better at being on time to my meetings. I was on time to 3 meetings this week as opposed to last week. You just mark your progress, and you let your subconscious know that you're progressing, and it uses that as a stepping stones to greater achievement. And I know this is a kind of a weird concept. There were a lot of movies back in the day where they were just these hardcore nerds or whatever, total losers that would sit in front of the mirror and go, oh, everybody likes me, I'm a good person, all that kind of stuff. So it kind of got a bad rap because the media kind of gave it a bad rap, but also auto-suggestions are so powerful and they're so helpful in our daily life, and we give them to ourselves all the time anyway, whether we know it or not. You do something retarded, I'm so stupid, why did I do that? That's an auto-suggestion, and that feeds into your mind. It's not as powerful as when you're meditating and you give yourself an auto-suggestion, but it still feeds into your subconscious mind, and you still begin to believe it after a while. Okay, so the rules for auto-suggestions. First of all, you want to always be positive. And the second rule is you want to be positive, but in a grammatical sense. Okay, the first rule, you want to be positive, you want it to be an uplifting thing, something that's going to help you progress. The second rule is you want it to be grammatically positive. So, as you tell your mind, you don't want to say something like, I do not have a drug problem, because you're using not in there. Okay? What you want to say is you want to keep this sentence grammatically positive. You would want to say, I am drug free, or I am addiction free. You don't want to say stuff like, I don't have problems with my coworkers at work, because it has you throw that negative term in there. There's been studies that suggest that having the, what is that called in grammar? I forget what it's called. But having the negative, I am not or I will not kind of thing in your auto-suggestions actually has an effect on the play out. Your subconscious mind feeds better on completely positive grammar. So, what was that?
Connotation, is that
I don't know. I can't remember what the term is, but yeah, like a double negative, like isn't not or whatever, that kind of thing. Okay, so the first two are keep it positive, but in different meanings. The third one is to include symbolism. Like I said in the second talk, I'm getting all confused. But the communication between yourself and your subconscious mind is on a symbolic level. It's not, you can't just like communicate directly to your subconscious mind and have a conversation with it. It's like on that kind of stuff. It doesn't work like that. It's purely on a symbolic level. Break symbolism into the autosuggestion. And I'm not talking about into the words. I'm talking about visualization or sounds or whatever, okay? You want to incorporate symbolism into your subconscious, into your autosuggestion. So, I'm getting on better and better terms with my boss, and things are going well between my boss and I, okay? You want to visualize that you and your boss are chummy dudes together, you're happy, you're having a good time together, you're cracking jokes at each other, and there's no tension between the two of you, and you want to like really, throw a couple of symbols in there, like having you and your boss sitting down at a coffee table with a couple cups of coffee, sipping on some coffee, having a good time, that kind of thing. Coffee or drinks or just out to eat, that is a symbolism, that is symbolic of like friendship and coming together, that kind of thing. So you really want to throw that symbolism into your auto-suggestions to really give them that extra boost. Okay, so those are the three most important things in auto-suggestions. All right, so now I'm going to talk about kind of how we begin to change everything, okay? So we've got a hold on how we deal with our internal conflicts, how we deal with addiction on a personal level. But how does meditation help the world on a social level to kick out addiction and to get rid of, some of the problems that we have in our society? Well, as I mentioned also in one of the other talks, as you begin to meditate and as you feed yourself like these ideas and concepts, your subconscious mind takes these auto-suggestions and often without you even realizing it, it applies it to your life. So, your subconscious mind notices that every time you say the word dude in front of your boss, he gets a little like twitch in his eye or something. And so your subconscious mind equates that that is one of the things that causes your boss to not have as much respect for you, okay? So as you begin to tell your subconscious mind, me and my boss are chums now, we're having a great time, we're in good harmony with each other or whatever, until you begin to say the word dude less and less. And you begin to do the things that your subconscious mind is noticing that you aren't consciously noticing that bother your boss. Okay, so that begins to build your relationship with your boss more and more. How does this apply to the real world? Okay, where am I? Okay, so how do we fix a society? Okay, how do we turn the society with meditation upside down so that the major problems that are causing addiction and causing the symptom to go away? So, let's say, 50% of, not even 50%, let's do like, 10% of the people across the United States begin to meditate. And every single one of those people in their meditation, they tell themselves in their auto-suggestions that the economy is doing better, okay? And that addiction is beginning to lessen in our society, and that corruption in politics is, the corrupt politicians are beginning to become exposed, and they're beginning to, be found out and they're getting kicked out of office and blah, 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 this kind of stuff. Well, how does that even have an effect on the real world? The answer is that